Irish fans, it's time to get into week number 5 of the college football playoff top 25. I believe it's week 5. I don't know. There's been so many weeks. This is the last midweek one we'll get before the big one. That happens Sunday, I believe. Is it noon or 11 a.m.? I think it's around that time frame. So with that being said, let's get right into it. 25 through 20. 25th in the land, Texas A&M, 8-4. 24th is Louisiana, 11-1. 23, Kentucky, 9-3. 22, Arkansas at 8-4, and 21, Houston, 11-1. And 20th in the country is the Clemson Tigers at 9-3. JR, thoughts on 25 through 20?
You know, for our sake, you wish that Wisconsin could be in there. I'm not so sure about Texas A&M and Arkansas, but, you know, ESPN, they're in bed with the SEC. There's clearly a bias there. Watch out for Houston. I think they are undervalued. They're getting 10.5 this weekend against Cincinnati. I think they're going to be a little bit disrespected. But for the most part, again, 20 to 25. If that's where you're at, okay. But I would like to point out that there's one team who is noticeably absent from that ranking. It would be the 6-6 LSU Tigers. They are not in that ranking.
Indeed, they are not. And you got to wonder, we'll get into this maybe in a little bit. Will he coach their bowl game, or will they even accept the invites or whatever?
He's not.
Okay. I meant for like LSU. Is what I mean. All right. Just making sure. All right. Logan, thoughts on 25 through 20?
JR kind of took what I was going to say. With both points, actually, the 6-6 Louisiana but sorry. Wisconsin, hurts Notre Dame. Obviously losing Minnesota, should have won that game, just laid a brick. They're playing well, would have been in the Big Ten championship. That hurts, but moving forward, like JR said, I don't know about A&M. We're on the same page there, but ESPN and SEC can't really do no wrong.
Right, and Logan, you made a point a couple of weeks ago. Is the bottom of the SEC is still better than what'd you say?
I would say they're the middle of the pack Big Ten team, but I think if Wisconsin, like a Texas A&M, were to play, I mean, it'd be very competitive, pretty similar, I would say.
But I was just thinking about that today. You made that point. We all kind of got on you about it. I did some thinking. You're right. I mean, a bottom of the pack SEC team like Texas A&M, Arkansas, I think they would compete very in the Big Ten. What'd you say? I'm sorry. Kind of cut out there.
You forgot LSU in there.
They're done. They're done. All right, I don't want to hear LSU until the next segment. Okay, boys. It's very tragic to me. All right, moving on here, 19 through 15. 19th in the land, we have San Diego State, 11-1. I could say what San Diego means if you ever watched the movie Anchorman. 18th in the country is NC State, 9-3. 17th in the country is Utah, 9-3. They got a big one coming up this weekend. And number 16 is Wake Forest, 10-2. 15 is Pitt. Pitt and Wake Forest, they play each other this week. Logan, we'll stick with you. Thoughts here on 19 through 15.
I really like Pittsburgh. I've been a fan of them all year. Obviously the ACC is really in the Pac-12 is irrelevant now, but according to the playoff. But I would honestly I like Pitt in that game. They're playing really well. Quarterback's great QB, very smart. Will get drafted most likely next year. Good coach. I like where they're at. I would expect them to move up.
JR?
Yeah, I would agree with Pitt. I'm starting to hear a little bit of chatter about Pat Narduzzi potentially being a candidate for Notre Dame. He's a local boy here from Ohio. That's going to be a good game. I like Pitt, though, too. San Diego State, listen, they're playing pretty well. They're 11-1. They fell behind Boise early last week in that 9 a.m. game, and they came storming back. I think they scored 24 points straight to win by about 11. I'm pretty much in agreement with Logan on 19 through, what's that, 15?
Yeah, I'm in agreement as well. I mean, where are you going to put some of these teams? San Diego State, 9 a.m. to play like they did. You could tell early on it was 9 a.m. for them, but they kind of woke up, got the coffee in them. Or as Brady Hoke he probably had a dozen donuts to wake himself up that morning. Anyway, not really anything to dispute here with the top 19 through 15. 14th in the country. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. 14th is Oklahoma at 10-2. 13th, we have Iowa at 10-2. 12, we have BYU at 10-2. And 11, we have Michigan State at 10-2. And number 10 in the country, welcome back, the Oregon Ducks coming in at 10-2. We'll start with JR this time.
Really disappointed in Oklahoma. They had that game in control late in the second half, and they let that lead slip away. They made some nice plays coming out of halftime. I was hoping that they would pull that one out, but they could not. Disappointed in them. Iowa, they're making their way back up. Let's be Iowa fans this weekend. Let's hope that they create a little bit of chaos. I certainly think it's possible the way that they play defense. I'm not quite so sure that their offense can stay in that game. But listen, they're going to play with their hair on fire. They've got nothing to lose. Kirk Ferentz, he's a very good big game coach, especially late in the year, postseason, so to speak. He's always been successful in bowl games. I would look for maybe some trickery from them on special teams. They're going to lay it all out on the line. So 14 through 10, Oregon, they got a big game against Utah. They play really well at home, but that game's in Las Vegas. Let's see what happens in the Pac-12, but 14 through 10, about what it should be.
Yeah, I do agree. Logan, thoughts on 14 through 10?
No, I'm all on board with JR. Obviously, Oklahoma was very disappointing. Oregon, will probably find its way back into that top 10 when it's all said and done. But no, all agreements, no complaints.
Yeah, I mean, I got no complaints either. You know what? I actually do. Why aren't the Mormons in the top 10? That's disrespectful. Why aren't my Mormons in the top 10? All right, moving along here, 9 through 5. 9th in the land is Baylor at 10-2. Number 8 in the country, Ole Miss, the Lane Train, woo-woo, at 10-2. 7th ranked in the country is Ohio State at 10-2. And number 6, Notre Dame, 11-1. And number 5, we're all Baylor fans this week, the Oklahoma State Cowboys, 11-1. Logan.
Obviously, if there's been a lot of Baylor slander. JR and I have been open that we like Baylor, but on the two other sides of the podcast, it's been different. We have to have Baylor beat Oklahoma State. Love them. I like them a lot in that game. Ohio State is going to be interesting what they do. What the committee does if all hell breaks loose. Kurt Herbstreit put that out too, and there's so many things that could happen. It's interesting to do what they're going to do with Notre Dame if Michigan were to lose, if Oklahoma State were to lose, Georgia beats Bama. It makes things very interesting. So I don't have any complaints, even Notre Dame being at 6. Like, it was going to happen. It's all about the TV ratings. You got Baylor, Oklahoma State in that conference championship. They moved up Iowa for the Big Ten championship. And then obviously Bama dropping was shocking to me personally, but obviously, everything's going to play itself out. Should be exciting.
JR.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Baylor, we're obviously Baylor Bear fans this week. They've got a little bit of an uphill battle, though. Their quarterback is banged up. He did not play last week. He's got a hamstring injury. He's already listed as questionable. I don't think they can win that game without him, and he would pose a much different threat to a very stout Oklahoma State defense. A dual threat quarterback in Bohannon would pose a lot of problems for them. Notre Dame needs him to be healthy. Ohio State, disappointing performance from them. In both of their losses, they have been very uninspired, not very impressive, giving up 42 to Michigan. That's pretty weak. You thought that they had their defensive issues figured out, but quite frankly, Michigan ran it down their throat, and they ran it straight back up their yin yang, if you know what I'm talking about. So if all hell does break loose, which is certainly possible, Iowa could win, Houston could win, Georgia could win, Georgia will probably win. Baylor certainly could win. What happens next? And the committee, your boy Barta over there, he's got some interesting comments every week. I'm not quite sure what his parameters are, what's going on in that committee room there. But 10 through 6, Notre Dame, we are where we are, and that's what we have to deal with. I think one thing that's interesting, and we'll obviously get in this in a little bit down the road here. I think the Notre Dame program is totally energized by everything that has happened, and this has all seemingly galvanized and has brought the fan base together. But I also think for the first time in a long time that the rest of the country is sort of kind of rooting for Notre Dame to get in, the way that, which is odd because public perception outside of the Notre Dame fan base is usually not well received towards Notre Dame. So with the events that have taken place in the last 72 hours, public pressure could be a benefit to Notre Dame here if certain things happen the right way. So 10 through 5, 9 through 5, or whatever, 9 through 5, let's be fans of some of those teams that are slotted in and around us.
Absolutely. I'm all for it. I am all for that. Being fans of for one day, Baylor. You guys, Logan mentioned I slander Baylor anytime I get. But yeah, I have no issues with 9 through 5, 10, 9, 9 through 5. Zero State. What a letdown.
But
all right.
kudos bouncing back, though. That shows that's a testament to them.
Yeah. Logan, you made a point, between Bama and Michigan. I know. I can't remember fully what it was, but I'm going to say it right now. Put Alabama and Michigan in a ring together. Alabama's out of there by halftime.
I don't know, man. Michigan is a very, very, very physical team. And Alabama, no matter, obviously they're good, but they're not reaching their own expectations. Obviously, Auburn had them beat, should have won that game if they do what they need to do. Bama's very beatable. I mean, across the board, I would say the top 7 is, excluding Georgia, so 6 teams are very beatable. And Bama's not unbeatable. Georgia's the team that looks, if there's anybody that would beat them, I don't know who would. It would be so hard to choose what that best matchup would be.
Yeah, you're right. All right, so 4 through 1 here. Cincinnati 12-0, number 3 Alabama 11-1, Michigan at number 2 at 11-1, and the number 1 team in the country, no doubt about it, Georgia 12-0. No surprises there. All right, Irish fans, that wraps up this week's edition of the College Football Playoff Top 25 Breakdown, and we'll see you next week for the big one.